Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about The Man in the High Castle Season 1. This show came out 10 years ago, back in 2015. It doesn't even feel like it's been that long. It feels like it was just yesterday, but it did. And I've already reviewed episode 1 and 2. Go watch those. And so I've been wanting to talk about this show for the longest time. I just haven't been able to. Every time I keep saying I'm going to rewatch it, I never do whenever I have Amazon Prime. And so I finally just rewatched season 1. I could have watched the entire series, but I was busy because I had other streaming stuff that the expiration dates were coming up soon. So I'm like, all right, I just need to put this off. um But it's a very good show. It's very emotional. It will hit you on those tug strings. And it's one of the better Amazon Prime shows. It lasted for 4 seasons, but only the first 3 seasons are good. Season 4 just flat out sucks. A lot of the main characters that we know and love either died or they got written off, and other characters started being portrayed a little bit slightly different, and it just wasn't that good. And then a lot of bizarre stuff started happening in the season. So instead of ending on a high note, season 4 just ended on a very baffling, bizarre note, to the point where I had to go on YouTube or just the internet in general to do one of those ending explain, just to figure out what the heck just happened and stuff, because I was just so baffled and everything. I just couldn't figure out what the heck had happened. You can tell season 4 was very rushed. Every season is 10 episodes and they're about an hour long. Now, just like I said when I reviewed that of the first 2 episodes, this show is controversial because it depicts a world where Germany won World War II. So yes, we're dealing with, and I can't say their full name because YouTube won't let people, so I have to refer to them as Knots or German Knots. But you know exactly what I'm talking about, just add the I for yourself. And so, yeah, so it depicts a world where Germany and Japan won World War II and has taken over the world, where Germany holds over more of the world. See, Germany occupies that of all the European countries, and they have enslaved Africa. Gee, thanks for that. You knew that was going to happen. And Japan controls all of Asia and stuff. Now, in America, I think Canada, well, North America, I should say. I don't know really what happened with Canada. Maybe they're controlled by Germany. I'm not sure. I know when it comes to America, it is divided. You have Japan occupying the West, like California, San Francisco, stuff like that. And you have Germany occupying the rest. And New York is like their capital, whereas San Francisco, I think, is the capital of Japan. And so you have the Japanese Pacific states, which is now called and everything, and you have the American Reich. And so it's a very triggering show. This show is not for everybody. If you have family that survived World War II and they were treated badly during those times, this might not be the show for you. So just a warning, it is a bit triggering and stuff. And when it comes to Japan, I had no earthly idea they was allied with Germany and stuff. I never knew that. They didn't teach us that stuff growing up. They really didn't. Because every time you ever hear about World War II, you always hear about Germany, but you never hear about their allies. And they had other allies as well. I was very shocked and baffled, so I had to go look this up on Wikipedia, and yes, it is true. They were their allies. Now, of course, all these years have passed, and both Germany and Japan have changed their ways, and now they get along with other countries and stuff. Thank God. But yeah, so basically what happened in this world is that FDR was assassinated. and Americas were unable to help, like, Europe, and an A bomb got dropped on Washington. Many Americans decided to defect to that of Germany and stuff and become Nazis themselves. And like Americans are under rule. Now, one thing you don't really see in this show is you don't see too many black people or Hispanic people or Native American. But you will in later seasons, especially season 4, you'll see a lot more black. And I always wonder when watching the show, where are the black people at? Because there's only like one central black character, and then there's one albino black character. Other than that, you just don't see them in the show. So I'm all like, I know they got enslaved in Africa, but what the world did they do to them in this new version of America? And like, you don't see no Hispanics and no Native Americans. All you see are white, Japanese, and a couple of Jewish people that are pretending to be white, because of course Jewish people are not allowed to live in the world in this reality, so they have to hide who they are. And one of those people hiding who they are is Frank, and also Ed. Now, the actress who plays Julia, she's half Jewish in real life, but they don't state none of that in the show. And yes, this show is very prejudiced and hateful and racist. When they refer to foreign people in their countries, they shorten the words instead of saying the full thing. So instead of saying Japan, they say the other shortened word, which is offensive. And instead of saying Jewish, they say the shortened word, which many Jewish people find offensive. And it sucks that this is such an amazing show, because like I said before, it is hateful and prejudiced, but it is a very unique show, and it's showing you what could have happened if the world had, like, was different and stuff back then. And shows like that I always find fascinating. That's why I love the show Sliders, that deals in alternate realities and dimensions and stuff. And because it's kind of like, you always know what your world, you always ask yourself, like, what if I were to go back a couple of years back and change this aspect of my life? Or where would I be at today? What if I would have married this person? What if I would have made babies with this person? Like, what my kids look different? Like, people always ask those questions. And it's even more interesting when people ask that question about worldly events, because they live in a dystopia. And it's very gray, it's very muted. This is one of the times why I actually appreciate the show having a filter to it, like a muted grayish filter, because these people, their lives suck. Like, it literally flips the script. And I love when shows flip the script, because, in America, white people treated Chinese people terribly, and so did Japanese people and other races. Here, it is the complete opposite. Now, you see people in who are Japanese, they are treating white people like crap. And I mean, like, literal crap. And this, and shows like this is supposed to be educational as well, not in terms of actual history, but how you should present yourself, how you should respect people, how you should not disrespect people, and how you don't cause wars, which apparently some people in other countries did not pay attention to. And, it's kind of like Star Trek in a way. Star Trek is supposed to help you better yourself in life and make good choices. Same thing with the television show Sliders. And, the cast is amazing. They play these roles so well, so believable. You think they're real life people. Boy, I tell you this right now. In this show, the Japanese people scared the crap out of me. Like, watching this show, it was like they was worse than the German people. Like, they were scary, especially the police force and stuff. The police force, oh my God, they are scary in this show. But John Smith, the American trader and everything, who became a Nazi, ooh, that man is frightening. And so is the marshal. And because, back in those days, they were ruthless and everything. And they were just like really evil and stuff. And it's displayed here in the show. And when I can't stress enough how great this cast is. The world we started losing characters by season 3, man, I was pissed. I'm all like, no, these people helped make this show feel authentic, make it feel real, and you just got rid of them. Now, one guy left because he got offered another show, which he was a co-star of. The other show lasted for 3 seasons. It's not a very good show he went on, and people hate it because it's a reboot of another show. And so, like, did he make the right decision? Well, this show only had one more season, and he went on to another show that had three. So he went to, so it's kind of, I guess you could say, a good decision because at least he got to be on 3 more seasons of another show, but the other show sucked and everything. And I remember when this show was first advertised, oh man, there was so much controversy because they showed the Statue of Liberty with a knot symbol on it and stuff, and they put the picture on like subway trains and stuff, and people didn't know what the heck was going on because they didn't know this show was coming out. It was advertisement that was supposed to trigger you into making you talk about it, then watch the show, and it worked. But there's those people, like I said before, who don't like this show. Yeah, I totally get it. You know what I'm saying? It's not for everybody. Now, of course, this is based on a novel of all things. Now, it does differ a little bit from the novel. There's still a man in a high castle. See, this show depicts a group of people whose lives are changed forever because of a film. There are several films in the show that depicts other realities and them winning the war and defeating Germany and stuff. And then there are some where America did win. There are some where, it's kind of like a standstill. There are some where Americans betrayed, Europe and stuff like that. So there are all these different films with all these different outcomes. And these films are giving people hope. Hope that for a better world that they can defeat the enemy. And of course, Germany and Japan does not want these tapes to get out because they don't want to inspire hope and they have a rebellion and stuff. And when people did find out about these tapes, they started a rebellion. There's the American resistance. Now, in the novel that this is based on, it is completely different. It's not film, there are books and everything. Different times, the books were written a long time ago, so I love the idea they changed that from books to film. Because if you just read, oh, the world changed and blah, 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 and stuff like that, and, Coca-Cola and this and that, like, seeing it is more believable than reading about it, So I am glad they made that change. And the show is set in 1962. And so, like, the enemies are trying their best to find these tapes and to stop the man in the castle, a mysterious man who is not shown in season 1, but who is shown in season 1? Hitler. And just like I said in the first 2 episodes, he's alive, he's old, and he has a tremor in his hand. He is dying, but he doesn't want people to know that. Despite being controversial, this is a show I will totally recommend to people because there's so much raw emotion in this show, and it is an eye-opener for people who live in their cushy little bubbles and stuff. Because the world was very much different back in the day, and it's starting to rear its ugly head around again to where certain people are doing certain things. And it really is a show that's supposed to make you think. And it's crazy how the actions of one woman in this show who stumbled upon something by mistake changed the lives of so many characters in this show. It is insane and everything. Like the journeys these people go on and stuff, and the things that they would normally never have done before. And it's all in the pursuit of hope and trying to stop that hope. So when it comes to that other characters, you have Alexa The Valos plays Juliana Crane. Now, she is one of our main protagonists in the show. She lives a very simple, normal life. She has a boyfriend, Frank, a best friend, Ed. She, I believe, either lives with her parents or lives with Frank. And her mom hates Japanese people. Her stepdad, there's a revelation with him that is insane. I'll get to a little bit later. And her real father died in the war. For the most part, Juliana is a very quiet, nice person. She gets along with Japanese people just fine. She learns Aikido. There's a guy who's like Japanese who has a crush on her and stuff. She's always bowing her head out of respect to people, whether they're Japanese or not. Like when she saw her mom, when her mom went to go give her a hug, she bowed her head to her mom, knowing her mom hates Japanese people and Japanese culture. And so she's a person who just gets along with like everybody. And she loves her boyfriend, Frank. But like I said before, something terrible happened to her. She lost her sister, Trudy. One day she was out and about, and Trudy was running from the Japanese police. And they was in pursuit because Trudy had one of the films. As she lay dying and everything, she gave the film to Julia and sent her on a quest, her mission and everything, since Trudy was unable to do it. So Juliana felt like it was up to her to carry out her sister's mission, but she had no idea what that was. So she took the film back and watched it and with Frank, and they were just shocked and surprised at what they saw. There have been rumblings that these tapes exist, but nobody's allowed to speak of it. Frank does not want to believe it, and he's all like, yo, just keep your head down and we'll live our normal lives. She wants more. She has hope in her heart after all this time. She's about in her 20s and stuff, and she no longer wants to live in fear. She no longer wants to live under the rule of Germany and that of Japan. So she leaves Frank and sets out on the mission, not telling nobody but him. And this caused so much problems for Frank, it changed him to be a much darker person. They both go on similar journeys to fight the enemy, but they explore it in different ways. Even to the point where I believe in season 2, they no longer see each other and stuff because they went on such different paths. She went to the Rocky Mountains, which is the neutral zone, because she had to deliver the tapes there. And while there, she meets a man named Lim, and he's like a black cafe owner and stuff. He's very rude and very stern. Anyways, but she also meets Joe Blake. And Joe Blake, he is a double agent. He is technically German Nazi, but he's pretending to work for the resistance. And so they help each other out in any way they possibly can as she's trying to figure out this whole espionage type lifestyle and keep a low profile and only meet her contact. This causes conflict when she has to kill that other Nazi trying to kill her. And Joe helped her and stuff, get rid of the body. This is the first time she's ever killed anybody. And because of that, it sends the marshal after her. And he is a very terrifying character who does not take no crap and will put a shotgun in your face. When things go awry and everything, she heads to Lim's house where he puts a shotgun in her face. Talking about, well, how you know where I live and stuff like that. He is all for the cause. And he won't let nobody stop that. And of course, he wants the tape, but he doesn't trust Joe. After they tell everything what happened and everything, they, head back to their home. Joe heads back to New York and she heads back to California. She does not realize her world has been turned upside down because Frank's world has been turned upside down. And it's to the point where she has nowhere to go. She can't go back to her home because they might look for her there, and she can't go to Frank's because the police are always patrolling outside his place. So she goes to Trudy's abandoned place where she meets Karen, another operative for the man in the high castle. And Karen wants Juliana to do her the biggest favor. She wants her to work for her. She needs information, and she feels like basically Juliana can slip through the cracks. So she needs Juliana to get a job at this one Japanese office. In order for her to get it, she has to perform sexual favors for that of the boss. And she does it. And of course, she's mortified by this, but she's willing to do whatever she has to do in order to, like, get all the information she can. There's a hidden room in that building, and when she's able to finally get there, she realizes her stepfather works there and he's giving orders. It is later revealed that her stepfather accidentally gave Trudy up to the Japanese authorities and everything. He knew about the films. He knew somebody had it. He gave them a description of a man. That man was close with Trudy, and then that's how they killed Trudy. He doesn't even know she's dead. The mom doesn't even know she's dead. And so, like, while all this is going on, her and Frank have to get out of town. Ed is able to give them money to get a bus fare, but there's problems. She is still working for, like, the resistance, which causes Frank to miss his bus ride because he won't leave without her. Then she's trying to help out Joe, who she has no idea is a Nazi and everything. And it's even to the point where this Japanese, like, gang steals the film. And so in order to get it back, they want a certain amount of money, which she's able to get from Joe. But the problem is that they tried to get out by Joe trying to shoot his way out, which now caused him to be wanted and everything like that. So now Joe is captive by them, and instead of using the new money she gets from Frank, because she took all his money that he was going to start a new life with, to get Joe out of captivity instead of getting the tape. So Frank ends up rescuing him. Now the problem with all of this is that Juliana and Joe have a connection with each other when they was out and about in the neutral zone. They both have strong feelings for each other, but they don't cheat. And this is messed up because she's with Frank, and Frank has lost everything because of her, while she has eyes for another man, and Joe has a wife and kid back home. So Frank knows something up, but he doesn't know exactly what's up. And when him and Juliana were hiding out in the school, they watched a different film that shows Frank being executed by Joe, and Joe was a Nazi. So this causes confrontation between those two, and she literally asked him, "Are you really a Nazi?" And he won't answer as he takes the film and stuff. Now there's a huge problem. The resistance wants the film. And they said because Joe would not confirm or deny if he was working for Germany, this lets you know that he is. And she should have figured that out. But instead, she doesn't want Joe to die because she is falling in love with him and stuff. He's different from Frank. He's more of a bad boy, more of a hero type. And because she tells him, "Look, man, if we walk through this door, my people's going to put a bullet in your head." So she arranged it to where instead of her getting out the city on a boat, she puts Joe on the boat. He's out of range and Lim cannot shoot him. And they are pissed. And whether or not he gave her the film or not, you have to find out in season 2, which I don't remember because it's literally been 10 years since I watched it. But I could not believe how she betrayed the very cause that she was fighting for. Because she even told Joe, "I don't believe you're a Nazi. You're too good of a man." Which really he is. And it's weird because her sister died because of this film. Frank lost his entire life because of this. Ed, her best friend, is now in Japanese custody because of something Frank was gonna do and he got framed for. And she did all of this because she fell in love with the enemy, but she has no idea he is the enemy. And it causes you to look down on her. But then her actions in the other seasons make up for that because, she is committed, a person who is determined to get change in this new world. but her stupid heart betrayed her and everything. Joe Blake is a double agent. He pretends to join that of the resistance, and they give him a mission: travel to the neutral zone and deliver the package. That package is the film. He is actually a Nazi, and his job, of course, was to infiltrate the American resistance, get the package, not look at it, and then bring it back to Central Base. Well, he deviated from that of the rule. He watched the film and everything. And he also found that of Juliana, which he falls for immediately. He helps her out in any way possible and stuff, knowing she's part of the resistance, but he does not care because he is attracted to her. He even helps her get rid of a former Nazi, or an actual Nazi that she killed and everything when they was like fighting over the bridge and stuff. And pretty much he is her confidant. She trusts him fully. He answers to that of John Smith. John Smith is a very intimidating man. John Smith can tell even when you're lying and stuff, and he knows Joe is lying. It's even to the point where he has to test Joe and stuff. When Joe gets back to New York, he brings them in and, they do the interrogation thing. He passes, but he still feels like there's something off with him. So when he invites him over to, I think it's some kind of VA day or something like that, he invites him to meet his family. And so one of John's friends is there. Joe is snooping around that of John's place. Now, John's a very high-ranking officer within the Nazis. He's even close with that of Hitler. And so he gets busted and everything. But, whatever reason, John feels like he can trust him. Now, Joe has a wife and a son, a wife that misses him so much. When he comes back, he has yet again another mission that's going to cause him to travel. She is not happy with this because she has not seen him in a long time, and she doesn't want him to come back in a body bag. Well, one of Joe's missions originally was to find the man in the High Castle after, he gets the tape, put a bullet in his head. And if he doesn't, don't bother showing back up to New York, and they'll give him a hero's welcome. Well, like I said before, he showed back up in New York. So John doesn't like it when Joe constantly disobeys orders. And so he is constantly helping Juliana, trying to retrieve the tape from that of the gang and all this other stuff, to the point of getting caught and having to get bought. Juliana has to pay to get him out and stuff like that. It's weird. It's like he knows he has a mission, an evil mission, and he has a wife and kid who he never sees. But yet, he is willing to not turn over to the other side because he refuses to be a part of the American resistance. But he's willing to risk everything all for Juliana, a woman he literally just met. And like I told you before, she put him on that boat going to Mexico. But we'll see him in the next season. And so much change and so much is revealed about him and his family that is insane. Frank is a Jewish man who pretends not to be. He keeps his head down and he works in a manufacturing plant that makes replica guns, and he makes jewelry on his spare time, and he draws. One of the people he likes to draw is Juliana. He's very skilled, very, very good at what he does. And so he has a best friend named Ed. Ed will do anything for Frank and Juliana and stuff, even if it risks his own life. Frank's world got literally turned upside down the moment Juliana took that film and went to California. Because of that, the Japanese police interrogated the crap out of him. And when they realized that he's Jewish and everything, when they saw he wasn't circumcised, they tell him, that's an offense. And, the Nazis will not like that and stuff. The Japanese and the Nazis have a frenemy relationship. More on that a little bit later. And so, in order to get information from him, they kill his sister, niece, and nephew. But then when they find remember when I said in the first episode, Juliana bag got stolen, but she hid the film in her jacket. They assume, okay, they got Juliana, so they let him go. And talking about how, like, his family died of some type of, like, allergic reaction or whatever. This causes him to become irate and furious and to hate everything Japanese. He knows that they died because of Juliana and because he was captive and stuff, and he just can't live with himself. This turns him into a very dark individual, to where he decides he's gonna help out in the rebellion, but in a very different way. He decides he's gonna create a real gun instead of a replica, but he needs real bullets. So he goes to an American antique dealer. And so he makes a deal with that antique dude to buy 3 bullets. And so when Ed comes over, Ed realizes what he's gonna do when he sees, like, the gun and stuff, and he sees a picture of Frank's target. Frank's target is the Crown Prince of Japan. So I don't know about the government in Japan. I'm assuming that this show just decided, okay, let's just go with the Crown Prince instead of, like, a president and stuff. So yeah, Frank plans on, like, assassinating that dude. He feels like, look, I take this man out, that's the highest authority in Japan, and I'll be sticking it to him. And instead of going after the inspector who murdered his family, personally, I would have went after the inspector, but he decided to go higher up. So there's a huge parade because, the Crown Prince is coming to, like, America. And so Ed realizes what he's going to do, takes the gun and shoot Frank in the shoulder. Frank puts him in a closet, which is an interesting metaphor. And he goes on his little mission. And so at the parade, he's getting ready to shoot. He raises his gun, but then he hears a gunfire, but not from his. And somebody else shot the Crown Prince. Problem is with that is that a family saw him with the gun as he was running away. So the inspector chief, Keto, I believe his name is, he's on the pursuit of Frank. And so he's constantly having his place surveyed, and he's a wanted man and all this other stuff. Chief Inspector Keto is as scary as they come. I mean, that man scared the crap out of me watching this show, because this man is ruthless. This man has a look to him that looks deep into your soul and tears you apart. This man is thorough in his investigation. Him and John Smith are the 2 most scariest people on this show. And so he's constantly in pursuit of Frank. But here's the thing. He knows for a fact Frank is not the culprit, because when he was talking to that Asian gangster dude who has the film and everything, the dude tells him, look, man, we both know that person you're pursuing ain't the real target, because I know the real assassin. Oh, by the way, the Crown Prince lives. I know who the assassin was. It's a German Nazi and everything. And he did it with a sniper rifle. Your bullets, ballistic should have been able to, figure that out. But here's the thing. Keto knows that. But the relationship between Germany and Japan is not very good. And there's always the talk of World War III. So this is what Germany wants. They want to have one of their own try to assassinate the Crown Prince so it could start a war. And he wants to prevent that, so he just put the blame on Frank. However, because Japan does not have an answer as to who tried to kill the crown prince, everybody high ranking over there has to kill themselves in a type of sacrifice ritual. It's the one where they take that dagger, they stab themselves in the stomach, then they pull it out, and then somebody chops their head off with a katana. He knows that's coming for him, and he's getting ready for it. And he has one of his officers about to perform it. And as he hands that dude the katana, the dude with the katana won't, the officer won't take it because he shows him the gun, Frank's gun. And who had Frank's gun? Ed. See, when Ed tried to get Frank out of town, him and Juliana, but like I told you before, Frank didn't want to go without Juliana because Juliana was busy doing stupid stuff. And so, like, he told Frank, look, man, I'll get rid of your gun. So he takes it to their job. And he's about to melt it and stuff until his boss sees what he's about to do and turned him in. Now, Ed is a very skittish type person. And he is like, he can't defend himself. And he ain't gonna be able to last as long as Frank did. And Frank knows that. So Frank, without Juliana, because she's busy doing crap with Joe, he goes to the chief inspector and he sees Ed being taken away. And he literally just shouts, it's me. I'm the one you want. Leave him alone. You have me. And then it ends. And, Frank is mortified by this because now he's about to lose yet again another person in his life that he cares about. He has lost his sister, niece, and nephew. He lost Juliana to another man. And now he's going to lose his best friend who will literally do anything for him. While all this is going on, and when Frank went to his sister's funeral, he met a preacher there. But the preacher is actually a rabbi because the rabbi could tell that Frank was Jewish and said a certain Jewish phrase to him that caught Frank's attention. And so one day Frank goes to this man's place and he's there, and Frank meets his family and then they have like a prayer and their like religion and stuff. And it causes Frank to cry because Frank has not done this since he was a boy and he hates having to hide who he really is in his religion because of the fear it could get him killed and stuff. This is a very, very sad, touching scene because Frank literally cannot be who he wants to be out of fear. There are many people who are like that in this world. The LGBT comes to my mind and stuff. And, it's just terrible how in real life, like our real life, how this was going on during World War II and stuff. There's something else about Frank. Oh, the antique dealer. The antique dealer is sly and slippery and stuff. He has a thing for Asian women. And when this really rich guy comes in with his wife, and the wife is played by the actress from the Wolverine movie, the woman that Wolverine used to be in love with. And so, like, she was also in Batman v Superman, Mercy. And so, like, he don't even care that woman's married. He's just giving her the look. And the husband can kind of tell. So the husband invites him to his place. And he's all like asking him all about like American culture and this and that, welcoming him and stuff like that. Well, the Asian man was just doing that just to get information. And after that, he don't want nothing really to do with the antique dealer except he wants rare jewelry. He wants a Native American's necklace that he sees in this picture. So he said he'll see what he can do. Well, him and Frank one time was talking and, Frank saw like, I can make jewelry and stuff like that because I made a gun. So he's all like, could you make this necklace and everything? And so Frank does it and it looks just like the picture. It's just it's slightly off. And, Frank is worried because at first they were going to have a partnership where they will make, like Frank will make stuff for him and he will sell it and they'll split the money. Well, he tells Frank and everything, he's not going to be able to tell if it's a real or not, like the guy he's going to sell it to, because the other guy, because that guy has a lot of fake stuff in his house that he noticed. So when he goes there, the dude's a little suspicious, all like, it's a different size and everything. His wife is on to them and decides to cover for the antique dealer and stuff. The antique dealer gets questioned by Keto because he's all like, you sell bullets and everything and firearms, and which is permitted because no American person born in America is allowed to have a firearm. But only certain people can. But he's only allowed to sell it to like Japanese people. And so they question him and everything, but then they let him go because they realize, maybe the bullets didn't come from him. John Smith is a very high-ranking man within the Knots that's an American, but he is very evil. We will learn more about his backstory in season 4, I believe it is. Yeah, it took that long to find out that man's backstory of how he became like a trader and stuff. But anyway, he's a man who loves his family and he loves his job even more. Somebody is trying to off him because he's so high ranking and so close to that of Hitler. And so after like interrogating and investigating, his man is always really thorough in his investigation. He's able to find out anything. He can always tell when a person lies. And so like, he can even tell when his best friend and like Joe is lying and stuff because he is that thorough. And so it turns out that his friend Randolph is lying to him and stuff, but he's not really sure why. And, also when it comes to Joe, he knows Joe is lying. Well, it turns out his son has a disease. I think it's polio or something. And over there, when it comes to Germany, they don't want no imperfection whatsoever. They have exterminated minorities and people with illnesses. And since his son has an illness, the doctor literally tells him, I'm going to have to report this, but you can do yourself the favor by euthanizing your son. And he gives him like a syringe and stuff. He does not want to do that. Now, when it comes to the people trying to off him, it's actually another high-ranking person. And so on a hunting trip, like he gets the high-ranking dude, Riker, I think his name is, gets the upper hand on him and everything, and is about to execute him until something doesn't go the way he's hoping. Now, when I say this man ruthless, when he's interrogating some dude on top of a roof, he literally throws him off the building and just said, oh, he committed suicide. And so, like, Randolph, who is his best friend that's a traitor, is supposed to meet with Hitler. After Hitler gives him a speech, he realizes, oh, I feel terrible for trying to betray you because he's hired by the man trying to kill John Smith. So he takes his own life. And when he gets that call from Hitler, then he realizes, oh crap, the mission is didn't go the way he wants, and John Smith kills that dude. John Smith will have a very interesting life throughout this series and stuff, and a whole bunch of promotions. Trade Minister Taknami, I think that's how you say his name. He is a very interesting, mysterious man in this series. Not much is really known about him at first, and you assume he's just going to be as evil as everybody else. But what's interesting is that he allows Juliana to work for him. Now, that's not the one who wanted the sexual favors. That was the other guy. But she basically just has to pour him tea and stuff like that. And when he knows the chief inspector wants to question her, he doesn't fire her and he doesn't report her. And when he bumps into her, her necklace falls off and he takes it and stuff. No. I think he has Frank's necklace that Frank gave Juliana. And then when they bumped into each other, she sees he has it and he won't give it back to her. He is trying to prevent World War III. Randolph, John's friend, who's a Nazi, those two are working together to prevent World War III because Japan and Germany, they work together, but they hate each other and they're trying so bad to undermine the other person and start a war. What is it? It has to do with the Heisenberg weapon. Basically, the Germany are the ones making it, and Randolph was able to get his hands on the blueprints and put it on a microfilm, and he was supposed to hand it over to like somebody, but then the crown prince got shot, and then he backed out, and then he swallowed it. But these two are trying to prevent like a huge war that's going on, and so like Tainami, we learned that he lost his family many years ago, but then we see him talking to a woman that looks very much like his wife, but then it can't be if she's dead. Then throughout the series, towards the middle half, we keep seeing him hold on to Juliana's necklace and just staring at it and meditating, and we hear a strange noise. Then all of a sudden, every time he's doing that, somebody interrupts him and he stops. Until the very last time he does that. And when he does that, the craziest thing happens that blew my mind. He was transported from his world to another reality, a reality where America helped Europe win. And, you know, it looks like our America in the 1960s. And it was like, holy crap, how did he cross over? Well, you'll find out more about that next season. Despite all the bigotry and controversy and racism and all this other stuff, this is a very enlightening show, a very intriguing show that you can only watch on Amazon Prime. It is not out on DVD. Which is kind of odd because some of the Amazon stuff is on DVD like The Boys, but very few of this stuff is on DVD. It's getting to that point of, you know, physical media just isn't a thing no more. You'll go into Best Buy and you won't see too many DVDs. You'll see like one shelf, that's it, and nothing but electronic stuff. You go to FYE, nothing but merch of like toys and stuff, like Funko Pops and like all kind of stuff, but you will rarely see any DVDs nowadays. And it's quite a shame because they could literally get rid of their show if they wanted to for whatever reason, because Roku created a television show called Slip. And it's where a woman travels to alternate realities every time she climaxes. Hey, look, that was just, it's a comedy. Right? And so she's going to all these different realities and dating all these different people. And Roku decided, you know what, let's just get rid of this show. Even though it had high praise and stuff. And they didn't just get rid of that. They got rid of Reno 911 to where Reno 911 had to go back to Comedy Central. And they got rid of some other stuff. And it was a show they literally created themselves. This is why physical media is so important. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.